What's up, everybody? Back for another episode, and we're excited about it. We got some new gear. We got a new location behind us. We have the memorial set up in honor of Memorial Day. We know we're a little bit past, but we still wanted to honor all the fallen troops. I take that very seriously, Bill. I know you do too, and so does Haley. And you may have noticed that we had a silent intro. That's in honor of the in honor of our fallen troops and everything.
Very nice.
Yep. And we got our red, white, and blue theme back again for this year on the screen.
Okay.
You're looking at me. No, not me.
I was wearing my Quaker City burgundy.
Yeah,
We
I
all
like
do
it.
kind of have
I had a little
going.
Quaker City burgundy on as well. And that, of course, is because Michael Spanky Brown, as promised, is back again. As we said when we had him on the holiday episode of Quaker City 1, first prize, he would come back. So he is making good on his promise. He's coming back down tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about wrapping up the 2026 parade with Quaker City Serenade Day. Were you there? You were there, right?
Yeah, I hung back at the start.
You were a champion.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then we also have a dual guest episode. We have Captain of the Shooting Stars, Chalie Kapusniak, to come in and talk a little bit about his eventful New Year's season. I'm sure most people know on the surface the story of what happened with him this year with his medical scare, but he's going to break that down for a little bit for us and talk about how different New Year's Day looked for him, because I'm sure that was as unexpected as it was. I'm sure that was probably a little bit weird for him, especially as a captain. So all that fun and more tonight. We got some really interesting and fun topics to break down while Spanky's here too, and I think it's going to be a really fun episode. But first, Haley's got some events, as always, with the museum. So tell us what we can look forward to.
Sure. So it's end of May right now. In a couple weeks, we have Summer Mummers Weekend down in Wildwood. That's the 12th of June to the 14th. That Saturday is the String Band Luau Palooza. It begins at 11 a.m. To 5 o'clock. Tickets can be purchased online at the String Band Association's website, and I believe they can also be purchased at the door. But that's a really nice time. It's at Seaport Pier. Drinks are flowing, music's going. It's great. Battle of the Bands between Quaker and Freilinger is here at the Mummers Museum Wednesday, the 24th of June. Doors are 6 o'clock and tickets are only $5 at the door, so it should be really good. Yeah, I know it's usually outside, but I think it may draw a bigger crowd indoors because it's rain or shine, so it should be good. And then also just want to put out here, the Fancy Brigade Association is hosting an autism awareness event. It is September 20th. I believe that's a Sunday. But they are looking for vendors here at the Mummers Museum. So if you're interested in being a vendor, I believe it's $40 a table. You can check out the flyer on Mum Nation, on the association's Facebook pages and everything. And then if you want to attend, it's only $10. So right in the heart of Mum season, it should be a really nice event. And I think it's the second annual one already. So pretty nice.
Nice. All right. So we got some things coming up. And I got to always say, as always, if you are not already a member of the Mummers Museum, it's never too late to join. And there is some pretty cool perks. And as we have been saying time and time again, that they are really trying to do some cool things around here. So get involved. It's becoming more of a community center, which is really neat. Because a lot of that doesn't really exist anymore. So it's cool to have a little spot that, whether you're a mummer, a new mummer, a lifelong mummer, not a mummer at all, a fan, whatever. It's really cool to be a part of. And we thank Brian and Cheyenne and the whole team for everything that they do. You got something?
They there's also volunteer application forms you can pick up at the Mummers Museum. So if you're interested in not only becoming a member, but volunteering, there's a lot of fun things that they're working on. And you can also still buy donor bricks. So they're still taking that $125 and get your name on a brick here at the Mummers Museum. And I apologize, I did miss an event. This is Saturday, August 29th. It is Rock for the Mummers Museum, which seems like a celebration for music, community spirit, and that is hosted by Ashley Louisi. Sorry if I butchered that. But you can reach out here. They're taking different sponsorship packages as well. Performances from local bands, preserves the beloved tradition, and keeps the museum's legacy alive. So it's obviously for the Mummers Museum here at the museum, August 29th. We'll have more information.
What's going on?
Yeah. I was actually here earlier setting up for our episode tonight, and somebody came in to buy a brick while I was
Oh,
here
okay.
That's
setting up.
Nice.
So I don't know if it's based on a select number of spots, but if you're interested, I would definitely get on it because it seems like it might be something that has some steam to it. So you definitely want to get involved with that. So I'm assuming you can do it in person here. I don't know if you can also
Yeah.
mail in that form maybe, but or probably call. You could probably do it over the phone.
There
too,
is
if
an
you don't
email
live-
address here. It's mummersmuseum75@aol.com.
There you go. So email, in person, over the phone, whatever. I'm sure they're willing to accommodate if you're willing to buy. So there you go.
Game's there forever.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So there you go. That's all of our events. So we're not going to wait any longer. We want to get Spanky in here because I feel like it's always fun when he's come. He has like a light, fun
He does.
personality. And I don't
Boss
know.
hog.
I feel like, boss hog. Yeah, I feel like what we're going to talk about tonight with him is going to be fun. So we're just going to get him in here. So let's go, Spanky. If they won this year, he was coming back, and guess what? He's sitting on the end of the table. So you know what that means?
We did something right.
He had nothing to do with it, though.
Mm.
Nothing. All right, so let's get right into wrapping up 2026. I know it's been a while at this point, but I haven't seen you since then. So I want to talk a little bit about it. I want to go in a weird way with it, though, because I know Quaker won, right? But I know you're a critical guy because you're always on the theme committee and you're the music director and stuff like that. We know what went right because you got first prize. But in your opinion, looking at it with a critical eye, tell me what didn't go right, what you would have changed, or maybe what wasn't perfect that maybe the audience wouldn't have known, but you guys know. I just like to look at it that way because we always talk about, this was great, this was great, this was great. But
Lots of things. For example, the beginning. I'm sure everybody knows the beginning of the theme didn't start the way it was supposed to. There was a little awkward tear, as they call in DCI, a little bit of a tear. But we were so well prepared that the band overcame that tear, and everybody just locked in. And kudos to Charlie Rhodes too on the air whistle in the beginning to actually pause and reestablish time to get us all back in again. And that a lot of that was due to we were in an environment where we didn't rehearse for, or really couldn't rehearse for, and it was kind of hard to hear. Counting it off in the back, being able to actually, the whistle was the count off. So we would hear 4 on the whistle and the band came in on 1 and the whistle just disappeared. And it was scary. We did it in the run through and we could just barely hear it when you got to the actual judging portion. Not that the crowd was loud, but there was definitely a chatter. You could hear a little tiny bit of like a white noise almost. It was just enough to drown it out. So at that point, I was like, well, I'll count it in. And as I'm counting it in, and Chalie, we were just off between the two of us very slightly. But again, the band just overcame. That was the kind of the saying after that was, if you can overcome the adversity, you're going to win. You're definitely going to win. Mm-hmm. And, we did that. It wasn't fun. It was a tough night until that prize came out, thinking that, I've never experienced that before. And what was that going to do? Not to me, but to my guys. It was hard for their leader to kind of, I don't want to say I led them in the wrong direction, but it was just, we were in a unfamiliar atmosphere and we just, it was hard to overcome. But, that's one thing. Other than that, just, in the beginning, you always talk about how you're going to do things differently. And, with not using foam core or not using plywood, maybe using some scrim so you can hear. And, sometimes it never just always pans out. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do and build things the way you normally build them, whatever. And, that was a little bit of an issue. We had a lot of props in front of us. And John, I'm very sorry, John Renega, big, huge, right in the beginning of writing anything, he's going to tell you, please don't put the band behind props.
Yeah.
Trying to make a musical statement, please don't bury my music behind props. And we tell him every year, oh no, you don't understand. It's going to be okay. Well, and look what happens. But just little things like that. You can't prepare for what we went through on January 31st. You cannot.
No.
We had another whole month full of rehearsals, but nothing prepared you for that atmosphere, the temperature, extremely cold.
Yep.
The fact that one thing that we did, and I tried, I went to as many bands as I possibly could to tell them to stop playing. Please put your horns away.
Yeah.
Get them on the bus. You can't play in a saxophone in that type of weather and then put it away and expect it to dry out. It's not going to. It's going to freeze again very, very easily. And some saxophones, the metal is thinner than others, and or the lacquer is of a different, makeup. So it freezes either faster or maybe take a little bit more time.
Right.
Yamaha, for example, not to down on Yamaha.
Yeah,
it's a great saxophone. They make incredible instruments, but they freeze super easy. So just trying to prepare for that. I remember going up to Jersey String Band, Pat Walton. They were playing and they sounded fantastic. They were in a circle underneath the solar panels, and they were playing. They sounded really good. And I said, Pat, I'm not trying to deflate you here. I said, but you got to put those instruments away or you're not going to be able to play later. He's like, yeah, we know. I just wanted to get the guy. He's like, I get it. Let's get fired up. Let's play a tune. It's what everybody wants to do.
Sure. But
you're going to pay for it in the long run. You're going to pay for it. So now here we all are. Who's got a speaker? Whose speaker's louder than this person's speaker? We had Frailinger right next to us. So it was, hey, can we go? Did you guys go? Do you want to do it again? Really trying to, make the best of it. It turned out to be a really unique and fun atmosphere for we had a really good time. Kind of a fun story after this, but we, just being in the parking lot, the camaraderie, reminding you a little bit of the downstairs of the shows a little bit, right?
Definitely.
But the environment, temperature, and it got colder during the day. The wind picked up and it started getting colder. It wreaked havoc. And some people, it was like, yeah, I'm having a really good time, but I don't realize that I'm not actually doing what I'm supposed to be doing, to where New Year's Day, I'd be playing the routine 10 times before I get to the hall. I'd be playing 20 street tunes, really warmed up. Fingers are moving really good. I had one opportunity to play that. One, because we didn't play during
correct.
In the beginning either. We knew from 2018 that, kudos to Chris Farr for this one.
Yes.
Chris was like, the instruments don't come off the bus. None of the instruments come off the bus. We cannot afford to get anything wet and then bring it out and it freezes instantly. We have to have it all on there. So we're prepared. We're ready to go. Get it out and let's just do it. And we knew that. We had remembered that. So that was the whole mindset going into the competition down there. The link was keep everything on the bus, keep it in a case, don't take it out at all. We didn't play in the morning. We didn't do anything. It was one time. You Quaker, you got one time to do it. That's it. And
even though you're really prepared and you know the music and all that kind of stuff, but I don't know if you feel this way, but I remember that from 2018 and kind of reminded myself of that a little bit this year. When you're getting into the judging area, you haven't played all day. There is a little bit of that where you're like, oh man, I haven't played this yet.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, you know what I mean?
Whatever
happens.
I always refer to the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz. I need an oil can.
Yeah.
Oil can. My fingers are. I need the lube.
Oh yeah.
They got to get lubed up. They got to move a little bit. So one thing that we did we did pull the instruments off for the sound check, but we didn't play. We no mouthpieces or nothing like that.
Right,
we just held it.
Now, what was your opinion on the actual performance floor? Some people had complaints about it. Like some people said it was bouncy. I didn't think it was bouncy, but some people said it was it should have been wider because the props were falling off the end of it and all that kind of stuff. Personally, I didn't have an issue with it, but I don't know if you.
Only one issue in my personal opinion. I thought everything was fabulous. What they did for us, the environment, being in front of that many people.
It was very cool.
Is anybody at this table old enough to be in front of that many people at City Hall? That would you're going back to like 1985.
No,
when there may have been 4,000 people around the hall. When it's like 8-10 deep.
Yeah, right.
So there were 5,000 people in front of us. That's I have never witnessed it, and I've been going up with Quaker since '86. I was a little kid, so maybe I didn't really notice it, but to see crowds like that It was incredible. It really was incredible. I thought this being able to hear yourself was good too. There was no like issue with echoing. They were saying that could have been a possible thing. The only thing with the floor for me was I would have preferred it to be smooth.
Yeah.
Every prop ran across the floor. Sounded like
now, did you guys
pots and
hear
pans were getting dropped.
Yeah, it was very noisy.
Yeah, it's incredible. Well, because you're putting casters on scaffolding. You know, it's never. I mean, I'm at work and I hear it at work. It's just
and for anybody that doesn't realize, you know, that I mean, yeah, it was amplified by the microphones on TV, but you heard that. There.
Of course,
like
absolutely.
you heard that live. That
I was wondering if it was
sound.
disturbing to you guys because I've never done it before. It was so loud. Anything you moved was so loud, and I was wondering, is that bothering these guys?
Not really disturbing, but you just knew that was there.
Yeah.
You know, and probably for some of the smaller bands, it could have, you know, it takes away a little bit of their projection. You know, it can mask some of that. You know, you don't want that, of course. But I mean, as for what our officials did in 31 days, I thought it was incredible.
I did too. I can't believe they did it that quickly at that high of a level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not saying I didn't think they were capable of doing it. I just can't believe all the stars aligned that perfectly for it to be as successful as it was on that short notice.
Right. I mean, and you know, I don't think there was anything you were going to do about the weather. It was very unfortunate, and there was nothing you could do about that.
No, we would have been having the parade last week.
Of course,
if we waited for.
Of course,
you know
absolutely.
What I mean? It is what it is. But
you actually could have you could have took the floor away because the grass was as hard as concrete.
Yeah,
you could have rolled it on the grass.
Yeah, you really could have. But moving past that, we just had Serenade Day not that long ago. It was a great day weather-wise. Well, I wasn't able to be there, but it looked like a fun time. You got to tell us how the Boss Hog outfit came to be.
Well, we're doing Cowboys. So Sammy Ragabudo and Anthony Trombetta and I were sitting around a bar, and it was after a meeting. And I said, I have an idea. I said, would it be cool if I showed up we have our luncheon here downstairs. I said, would it be cool if I showed up as Boss Hog? Because then I do the MC for everything. And they're like, oh, you got to be kidding. Well, Anthony starts pissing his pants. They're like, no way. So they didn't think I was going to do it. Well, I order the whole suit, the white pants, the white shoes, the white jacket, you know, the whole thing. And I walked in here downstairs, and when this place erupted, they were like, oh my God, look at you. And then I mean, I just, honestly, I had a great time with it. I enjoyed myself all day long. I can't say that he's gone either. He may return at some point. You never know. I was very comfortable in that outfit, I have to say. But no, we just, you know, it's for anyone who has never had the opportunity, and everyone at this table has, to experience a serenade for yourself. You got to have some fun. You know, you put in all that work, all that time. And whether or not you're in a delegated position where you've put in even more time with meetings and whatnot, that's your day to let your hair down, you know, and enjoy yourself and enjoy everyone else that's coming out. And I actually think that, you know, what I did, other people enjoyed.
Yeah.
You know, the other bands all laughed at it too. Friends of mine in different bands got a kick out of it, you know, and I was bringing people up on the stage, friends of mine from Durning. And it was just, I felt like it was my way to give back and say, hey, you know, let's have some fun. I'm going to make a fool of myself, but I'm going to have a really good time. Yeah.
Yeah. And you always do a great job with preparing the sound bites and all that kind of stuff.
It's fun.
You make it, make it
absolutely
more of an event, which is really cool.
You DJ ours.
I do. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. It was,
right.
And that was great too. I mean, I thought I was going to kill Chalie Kapusniak though. You know, he was about 30 feet in the air on top of that table. The sound guy said, he can't be up there. I said, oh, he's got to be up there. Yeah. No, sorry.
So I want to talk a little bit, without giving anything away, obviously, that we're already moving into 2027. You are the music director again. And I personally, I always equate the music director to sort of being like a baseball manager. You know, you have a music committee, which are like the coaches, you have an arranger, right? A lot of things have to come together and work to put that together. Yeah. But I want to ask you, because you've done it with multiple arrangers, multiple theme committees, multiple years, you know, you've been in, out, back in again. Where's the line where you say, I'm hands off here. How do you stop yourself from doing too much, and kind of hindering the process? Where do you say, I'm going to insert myself here? I'm going to let myself, let this go here,
Well, I mean, in our organization, all of it starts with theme committee. So we discuss not just costume and idea, but we also discuss music and how we're going to lay the theme out musically as well. And, there are so many guys in Quaker that are so influential when it comes to finding music, great music. Jimmy Muller, for example, he's got a Rolodex of music in his head. It's crazy. He comes up and will say, I found this, and this, and they're all home runs. And then Chalie, Chris and I will get together and we meet with John and we lay everything out. And, it's a collaborative effort. And there's no, well, I want this, I'm going to have that. It's not like that. It's why, we don't need to. The best made things happen when everybody has their hands in it. So, yeah, I mean, we've had lots of success that way too, so it's kind of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep going. We've done well. And, yeah, again, we'll take that basket and then we'll choose from it. We'll just, does this work here? Storyboard it. What are you looking for as far as your first statement? What are you, where's the excitement come until you get to that second reveal? And a lot of the formula has been kind of the same, but we kind of like to tweak it here and there, little tiny things. But again, if it's not broke, I'm not going to mess with it. I'm just going to keep, chugging it, what we do best. And
right.
Keeping the guys engaged is the biggest part, trying to make something that could be so typical, not typical is like, that's my job, Charlie's job, Chris Rhodes' job. It's for us to say, you know what? Yeah, we picked a cowboy theme. You can think it's going to be Cowboys, or you can think it's going to be this, or it's going to be that. Maybe it will, maybe it won't.
Right. I was actually going to ask you that, like at you've been around long enough with Quaker to understand how things go, but was there, or maybe not, any part of you that when that theme was decided on that you were like, oh boy, or not?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Because why would there be, right?
It was it was interesting because it like any other themes, things have been brought up in the past and on a table, but it almost seems like certain themes fall in your lap when it's the right time to do it.
Sure.
It's like, it's time to do that. And we had so much fun this year. And I mean, the fruit theme was fun too. Don't get me wrong. But this year we really enjoyed ourselves. We had a good time putting a theme together. We had great rehearsals leading up to New Year's Day. Even though we didn't get to do what we were supposed to do, we still had a great time New Year's Day. And it was because of, the character that we were in, the way we could portray it. And, when we got to South Philly, the night of the theme selection, a lot of us, there was butterflies in our stomach. It was like, this is one of those themes that can go up any year, any given year. Somebody's going to say, you know what, I'm going to do a cowboy theme.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we were like, please, come on, we got to get this one. Cause the ideas are there. The fun's there. The guys are really into it. When word leaks out that maybe we're going to do something fun like that, it's, everybody's spidey senses start tingling. Everybody's, kind of getting into it. I can't tell you, guys have come to the club now wearing cowboy hats and we got the Battle of the Bands coming up and that's going to be, interesting with some of the stuff that we're doing for that. So it's lit another fire to want to, do what you do, the sacrifices that, away from your kids, away from your wife or girlfriend, or both, and make the band jobs and go on the street parade and around the neighborhood, all those little things, because now it's like, and we've had I wouldn't say an influx of members, but we've had a few members join the club, and, there are only 67 suits to go up the street, right? Well, on any given band job now or Wednesday night, we're going around the street and there's 70 guys playing. So it's an interesting dynamic at this point, you know. So it's a lot of fun around the club right now. It's a really good time.
Yeah,
I mean, we had rehearsal last night, and I want to say there were 75 guys on the stage who were playing last night. So it's really fun, and the theme, in my opinion, was the spark for all of that.
We were just talking before we started. Cowboys is one of my favorite themes. Yeah, just in general. I just like.
Do you remember a bad one? I mean, even the bad ones were good. They were fun.
Exactly, because and Cowboys is one of those few themes, because I do believe there is a few that can either be very serious or really quirky and fun. And,
sure,
you know what I mean. Let me ask you this though, yes or no question, because you don't have to give away too much. If Cowboys did get taken, would Quaker have submitted a theme on submission night?
I was going to ask that too. Do you have one on the back burner?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, you have to nowadays because of what. What you said. So many bands are trying to be so innovative and different, whether it's with a traditional theme or not, that to not be loaded with 2, 3, sometimes 4.
Yeah, our process narrows it down to 3, and we go with 2 in our pocket. So we try to.
Yeah, right. I wanted to get into a little bit with music. A lot of people talk about show right nowadays. But I do believe that music is still the premier when it comes to string bands.
Well, we are bands, right? It's the last word in our title.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like nowadays, I don't know if you heard, but I just heard that they added more points to costume.
They want to.
Or they want to.
Yes, it's a suggestion. Yep.
Are we losing the emphasis on music yet, or did we already? Or is it headed that way? Do you think? I mean, there's varying opinions on this.
So there's 2 ways you can look at this. You can say that certain bands may want a costume category to boost their points to get them up into a better position because maybe they're not as strong musically, or there is a lack of a category for what we spend the most money on and gets us work all year long. And we're not emphasizing that at all. We're not giving it its due. I can see both sides of the story. This has been a interesting topic over the years. I remember in 1991 when they changed the points from whatever it was, 40-40-20 to, or 50-50, whatever it was. Quaker City won, and we had a gigantic sign at the shows. It was, if you can't win, change the rules. And right. And it was interesting because you can play with this as much as you want, and I don't think it has ever changed. I mean, we have never really been able to manipulate the points so that a band who maybe isn't as strong as a top band, a costume score isn't necessarily going to push you up into there. I mean, let's say, for example, if a last place band, whoever that may be, goes out and spends $150,000 for costume. Well, does that 10 points jump them into the top 10, even though, they didn't play exactly like the bands in the top 10 or didn't drill exactly like the bands in the top 10 or,
Right. I would say probably not.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think personally, that maybe more emphasis needs to be put into the costume as far as in the general effect area, to where they actually may talk about the costume, because they don't actually say anything about the costume in that score, though they give you a score for it.
Correct. Yeah.
They don't say anything about it. And you spend a lot of money on that. You spend a lot of time on that. So maybe having another judge in that to kind of, fold into that average, just to kind of touch on how your costume affected the general effect. I can see that. I can absolutely see that, because I don't know that score is going to boost, throw anybody over the top. It's really not.
I think the top bands that are going to do well in all the categories anyway, they're not going to do any worse. The lower bands, if they're not performing that well in music, just because they're doing well in another category. There's always going to be some deficit if you are where you are. I mean, I could see how it's an opportunity for more points, but I feel like...
Well, actually in the top, so you can look at it this way as well. So let's just take top 5 bands. So if all those top 5 bands put way more emphasis into costume, and there is a 1/10 of a point difference in 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, well, that costume score just may have pushed it on the top. Right. The 5th prize band could be the 1st prize band now, if they did their homework and the costume affected the show, not because it's just pretty, not because, oh, I love that color, but that costume affected the show in some way, shape, or form. For example, when South Philly did the circus thing, and when Jimmy Mulholland came out in that Slinky thing, it was like, it was an effective costume. Yeah. It had meaning. It was cool. It could have thrown them right over the top had they not been in the top already. The Frankenstein last year, when he comes out, a cool, effective costume in that way, I personally think needs to get some credit, because you've done a lot of research, how to build it, who's going to be in it, who's going to sell it, kind of thing. But not just like a pretty suit. Anybody can put a pretty costume out there. And if we're being honest, even in Quaker City, South Philly, any other band, it's really the designer's vision. It's not ours. Yeah, we come up with an idea. We come up with a theme. We give the designer tidbits of information. We say, yeah, we'd like to see this kind of guy or that kind of guy or this kind of person, whatever the case may be. But it's all in their head, whoever that designer may be. So that person, I think, deserves that credit. He puts all that work, or she, or groups of people, whoever it may be, that when you see that come on paper, a lot of times, and I mean, Mike, Bill, if you're on your committees too, when you see those sketches come out, sometimes you're like, that's not what I expected.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yes. Yep.
Yeah. Wow. Or, it could be. Could go either way, right?
Or you have the reaction where you see the sketch and instantly in your mind, that ain't looking like that when we get it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's true. And so I don't want to say I am 100% against it. I just think that the idea of it needs to really be refined. And we need to talk about it in depth to see how we're going to make it so that costume gets its just due, but it's not just, oh my God, those suits were beautiful and they need 10 points for that. It did. A beautiful suit doesn't help the show. An effective suit helps the show.
No, that's true. And I don't think a lot of people really do look at it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of agree, like in a similar sense. Basically, we're almost saying the same thing, where I think that I'm okay with costume counting for more, definitely, but only counting for enough that it will put you over the edge if you have all the other areas.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I don't think it should go back to the early 70s where it was worth 40 points and a band whose sound it wound up winning because they had the money to pay for a beautiful costume.
Right. Well, no, I don't think you just said it. So it's how that suit affects that category. That's all. If you can figure out a way to effectively put that into the rotation, into the judge's mindset, what it is that they're looking for, and say, okay, guys, if your costume points, because they're kind of, it almost feels like, and I think I might be kind of in the brain of some of the guys who came up with this idea by saying this, but it costumes like, oh yeah, their costumes are nice, let me give them this for that. I really wasn't paying too much attention to the costume the whole time, but after it's all said and done, I remember what they look like, and they're kind of relative. I mean, have you seen a huge disparity in costume between groups of 5? So 1 through 5, 5 through 10, 10 through 15. Let's just say, do you see like the 10th prize band and 11th prize band? Is there 3 points difference in costume there? No.
Right.
There might be 1.5 to 2 points different from 10th to 1st, but that also comes down to 60 guys in 10 different suits to 40 guys that maybe the 10th prize band or 11th prize band, they may only go up with 40 and they got 3 suits, so now it's like, so I'm going to put costume, I'm going to put costume out there and I'm going to give you more points for it. But now I'm forcing the smaller bands who don't go up the street with 67 guys and can't put that variety out there either. Now you're going to suffer from that, because now as a judge, how do I say, well, I'm going to give the number one band who had 12 different costumes and every one of them was effective, they're getting a 10. And how do I judge the 15th prize band who had 2 different suits and they were the same cut, but 2 different colors? Because that's what they can afford. You know, like we get these made. They're not cheap. We know that. Yeah. So how do I, really say that that's going to be a fair category to put everybody in? I think right now, the way they're judging the costume is they're saying, okay, I liked your costume as it portrayed in your show. If you're going to make me nitpick it now, I think we might be in trouble. I think it could hurt us.
Yeah, I agree with that, because I think sometimes there's even the bigger bands, let's just say the top 4, right? You could have suits that fit your show phenomenally, but maybe you could have a small band who has one suit absolutely gorgeous for whatever reason, and a band like Quaker, South Philly, Frowninger, or whatever, they get hammered because this fits the show great, but the suit's like so. And then you got a smaller band who has a beautiful costume that they're going to get all the points in that side of the category, right? I mean, is it fair? I guess it is if that's the rules, but is it fair to make that the rules? I
remember do you remember when Polish American did the Jesters?
I had this in my mind. Yeah.
Right?
2010. Yeah.
I mean, I know from talking with friends of mine who are in that organization, they were going for costume points. Yeah. That suit was beautiful. Right. It was gorgeous. It was big. They brought feathers back, It was like, we're going to attack a category that we know we can control. Costume's the only category that you can control, because if you spend the money and you have the right designer, so you do all your homework, right? Right designer, spend the money, go to the right costumer, bam. It should be a 10. Yeah. Should be a 10, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can't control music because I could sound flat. I could, mess up, whatever that. I can't mess the costume up. If I did all 3 of those things prior to New Year's, I see it. It's beautiful. It's ready to go. It speaks for itself,
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. And on the music side, right, I wrote down some statistics, right, that you would know, but for people that out here, out in the audience might not be aware. Like you were saying, get the right designer, get the right costumer. If you get the right arranger, right, it's very, very helpful, but you still have to have the band to pull it off. Now, I did a comparison here because Quaker has used both John Renega and Chris Farr. Right? So I did a comparison between John Renega and Chris Farr because they both wrote for Quaker and Frowninger, right? So in a 23-year period for John, which I know before the Frowninger 8 in a row, he wrote a couple themes prior to that for like different bands.
Yeah,
But I'm just going from 2003 up, right? He had 13 first prizes in that 23-year period. That's incredible. Most of those years that Frowninger won, they also won music. Right? Now, Chris Farr from 2007, which I believe he never wrote a theme prior to that. I think the Viking theme was the first that he did ever.
Full theme.
Yeah. So 2007 to this past year, 2026, a 19-year period, he's got 10 first prizes. And a lot of people don't realize this, right? John had the 8 in a row with just Frowninger.
Right.
But Chris had 7 in a row with 2 different bands. So between Quaker and South Philly. So again, you could also argue that some of the top bands, like a smaller band, right? If I'm in a smaller band, you could argue like, okay, I want more costume points because we can control that. Like you said, right now we're struggling musically. We can do what we can do, but we're building, we got young kids, right? Like that. And the top bands who have the players already have that under control too. So it's almost like you can say a band like Quaker, a band like Frowninger, a band like South Philly, Uptown getting there, right? You can say like Avalon, right? You could say, well, they got costume on lock because they have the money, but they got music on lock too because they already have the players and they employ the best writers as well. You know what I mean? So I think there's multiple ways you could come at it. And the hardest part is it depends on what caliber organization you're in. That's who's going to look at it in different ways. Like I think, say for example, I'm not throwing any clubs under the bus. I'm just going to use this last year's prizes as an example. A band like Hegeman might come at the costume a different way than a band like Quaker would. Sure. Because Quaker might not feel like they need the costume to be a certain, level, because they're going to get the points
They
in
got the
other
music,
places.
sure.
You know what I mean? So I think it's a hard decision to make, and the association has their work cut out for them on how to vote on that, because I think there's a lot of opinions. So
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Sure.
just like with anything else, but
And I don't think anyone has proposed this for any bolstering issues. No one is trying to push themselves in front by saying, "Oh, we're gonna increase the costume score." I think it's just it has become. I mean, you can kind of say they're glorified Halloween costumes, right? Most of them,
yeah,
anymore.
in a way, yeah.
Pageantry has left the building. That was a
Yeah,
word that
I agree.
that we could all put in our repertoire. We could always say that, the pageantry that the shooting stars, the downtowners, the Quaker Cities, the South Phillies, whoever, the Murray Comic Clubs, the Golden Sunrises, you name it. Any of those groups would come out with a costume that blew your doors off because it was beautiful, feathers everywhere,
Right.
spears throughout it. Davey Moe I remember, hey, Billy, some of Mickey's costumes that Davey would put together.
Yeah.
With
amazing.
the amount of plumes that came out of just his hat.
Yeah.
Right. And that it's gone. That is gone. And a lot of it's because of the price. Number one of those feathers cost what a dozen of them cost 25 years ago.
Yeah.
I know, South African feather can't do what they used to do even with cleaning because of environmental issues.
Yeah. Right.
So we've kind of been forced to, and I always blamed Fralinger for this. So back in,
You just like to blame Fralinger.
yeah,
for
it's easy
everything.
to blame Fralinger, right? No, but back in 90 or when was it? The Pirates. So they changed the game. They got rid of headpieces, right?
Yeah.
No more headpieces.
Yeah. Yep.
Mike Rare was like, you know what? I got an idea. They're gone. And we're gonna be able to move around more. We're gonna spread ourselves out on the street and have more real estate.
Yeah.
And boom, they win.
And they really did look different because
Sure they did.
Quaker still had back pieces
Right.
that year. I think Avalon still
Yep.
had them that year. So
And how many bands followed?
every single
Right.
band a year
There
before
they-
that. Yeah.
There
That
they
was
go.
the Trendsetter.
Plumes are gone.
Captains don't even wear them anymore.
Exactly. And the costumes became a little more simpler too. It was like, maybe you don't need something that has a gigantic coat and a big things off the shoulders and whatnot, because now I can't, as a group of 10, I can't get tight. I can't do small maneuvers because, we're looking sloppy because we're bumping into each other. So now streamline the costume, and now we're making all the suits, and they really are. They're like just glorified Halloween costumes that cost a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking the costumers at all by any means. They're beautifully built. They look amazing, but they don't have that pageantry that they did years ago.
Well, they used to be, I feel like they used to be more like wearable props.
Sure.
And now you're slimming down your suit profiles and just building your actual
Right.
props
Right.
up.
How many suits could you all say, the three together, that you've worn in the last 10 years? I'll say 10 years. That was solid sequin.
One.
That was the material of the 90s and 80s.
Oh, if you got a suit that was anything less than that, you were like, what is this piece of junk?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Solid
Costumes have
sequin.
gotten a lot lighter.
Not lines. No, I'm not talking about lines
No,
on
no.
your pants. I'm talking it's a solid sequin
Yeah.
back, and then they put stuff on top of it.
Well, the new thing in the brigades is the bodysuits.
Right?
So that you're like barely wearing.
Exactly.
Spank,
Because I
remember-
can do more with pieces and not worry about the under
You can
the underneath.
yeah,
Yep.
You remember when the
better.
pants used to have so much sequence on them that used to be able to, that like stark white in the crotch area where they didn't put the sequence?
Yeah.
Or in the
Yeah,
back.
like a sore thumb.
Or in the
Yeah,
back.
On the back.
I'll never forget Billy Bones' suit, 1984. That beautiful silver first
Yeah, the
prize
Joker.
captain suit, right? There wasn't a stitch of sequins on the back of his pants. That was then. But
Yeah.
even that was great. It is what it is. But even today, it's like, if you're almost used to seeing a separation and plain Bengaline, and a separation and plain Bengaline. If you want to spend more money, well, I'm going to put more lines of sequence on it.
Right.
It's like, dot material. Dot material was a thing years ago, and then we said,
yeah.
we're not using that. It's garbage. Well, it's back.
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
It's back, and it's effective. It's made a little bit better now. It handles a lot better.
Yeah.
But you know, it's more bang for your buck.
But you're right though. That was like the cheapy fabric back in the 80s,
Sure.
90s. It was
That
like
and LeMay.
Yeah. The eyelash.
Sure.
Eyelash
Yeah.
material. Yeah. Well, you gave me a perfect segue into what I wanted to talk about after this, talking about creativity.
That's what I do. Transitions.
I know.
That's what I do.
Phenomenal. So there was a post, and we're not taking credit for this. I want to go right off the top and say that the JMK costuming page, right? They post some interesting takes, and the latest one struck something with me. If you didn't see it or you didn't follow their page, and you're a Mummer fan, you should follow their page. It's pretty cool. But the latest claim that they made on their page was about Greater Kensington back in the 1980s, and the question or topic, whatever posed, was this. Right now, I'll say first before I read it out, I'm bringing this up tonight because I think this is something that all four of us definitely have some good things to talk about. Spanky was in one of the premier clubs with Quaker back in the 80s. Billy, obviously, always a avid watcher of the string bands his whole entire life, so big fan from the 80s. I have watched all the tapes, and Haley's now been familiar with all the tapes.
Because of this post, I watched the whole 80s.
Exactly, right? So the topic at hand here was Greater Kensington the string band of the 80s? All right, that was the question. And when I heard that, I had an immediate opinion about it, but before I say anything, if I said nothing else other than that to you, Spank, was Greater Kensington the string band of the 80s? Your initial reaction would
Absolutely not. No.
And it's not a knock to Kensington.
No, not at all. Not one bit. I you know, given the opportunity to go in detail.
Yeah.
Kensington, listen, they're always great. They're an excellent band. They have a deep membership, people who have been around there for years, some incredibly creative guys. Back in the 80s, it's hard to pinpoint one band that you can say owned that decade. Frainger didn't even own that decade, and they won 4 times, but they had a couple stinkers in there too.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Every band did. I mean, I could, if we were trying to put like an argument to this, Avalon would be up there. Avalon was incredibly innovative in the 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, the Flintstone theme, just it was awesome. It was so different. It was so out of the box that, you know, you have to look at stuff like that and say, yeah, how about that? Or the Duke Ellington was gorgeous.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, we won't go to Playing in the Plats. We'll leave that one out. That one may have sunk Avalon to the bottom with the Titanic, maybe. But you know, they had some really good ones. Quaker had a bunch of good ones. Quaker was, I think, I forget who it was, put it on Facebook. Maybe Marky Danielewicz said that, you know, Quaker's average was 4. So you got to take the prizes out of it. And let's get to the actual idea stuff.
Well, so I'll say this. Kensington's average prize in the 80s was 6.
Okay. And you know, very well so, with the fact that some of the 80s string band competitions may have been the greatest competition that
100% agree.
Yep.
division has ever seen.
And
Say it all the time.
I'll
Under
say this.
with 27 bands.
So in 1985, and the only reason I picked that year was because it's right in the middle of the decade, there was 27 bands. Now, I'm not saying there's 27 bands in every year of the 80s, but you figure if Kensington's average prize was 6 with roughly over 20 bands, that's not bad, right?
No, hell no.
It's not
Very good.
the best, but it's not bad.
Do you know how hard it was to win in the 80s?
Oh, yeah, because, I mean, look how many different bands won in the 80s.
Different. It was a different parade.
So, again, referencing the video from JMK's page, right, was Greater Kensington the string band of the 80s, okay? Now, in my personal opinion, there wasn't a lot of citing in this video. Like, hey, listen, everybody has their opinion, and you're entitled to it, and that's great. But for me, I was waiting to hear a little bit more why that was their thought, right? Now, this is a paraphrase quote, right, from the video. I wasn't necessarily talking about execution, right? Because he posted a follow-up video today, I think it was, kind of trying to deeper explain what he meant by that, because
Yeah, I saw
you
that.
commented on the regular one, right?
Yeah, I picked
commented on it.
Fralinger.
And that was a quote that he said in the follow-up today was, I wasn't necessarily talking about execution in regards to Kensington. My question to that is, what were you talking about then, if not execution of whatever you did has to be part of the discussion in some way, right? In my opinion.
Right. So if I look at a topic of who was the band of the 80s, let's say, I have to take everything into consideration, and I have to compare it to the 70s, right? I have to say what band emerged from the 70s and became the band of the 80s,
which we're actually going to do here, by the way.
Right. So if I have to go there, the Fralinger String Band immediately. Yeah. I mean, they took music to another level.
Yeah.
So it's just a ridiculous another level with the same musical director. You know, so Herbie reinvented himself to go into the 80s.
I'll read a second part of that quote just to kind of further, right? He went on to say, and this is JMK, if they never won first prize, and this is talking about Kensington in the 80s, right? If they never won first prize and averaged 12th for 10 years, the idea is that we still would have spoken about, meaning he still would have made that video even if they had never gotten first prize. Didn't have anything to do with prize is basically what he was saying. Now I get where he's coming from, right? He's trying to make a point that the creativity, the way they put their show together, the difference that they had in comparison to other bands is why he may believe that Kensington was the band. Now, I'm not even saying that he believes they are the band. He's asking the question. So I don't know what his personal thought is either. But I'm going to say this. I looked and I went back to verify because there was a couple I couldn't remember, right? But here's all of Kensington's themes from the 80s, right? And again, he was referencing how different they were in the 80s. Okay, here's their themes. Now, the first one I read, it's going to be from 1980 up to 89, right? This is what they did in the whole decade. Roman, Angels, Native American Indian, Clowns, Pirates, Toy Soldiers, Hobos, Hats, Baroque/Classical, and Caribbean. Now, to my count, there's only really 2 themes in there that you could even categorize as unique. Am I
Hats
wrong in that? Or to me, I feel like most of what they did in that decade is some of the most traditional themes you could possibly do. Now, as you know, with Quaker, because this is kind of up their alley, I'm not saying that a traditional theme you can't do something different with, right? But let's look at it a little bit further, and then I'll get your opinion, right? The 2 most different themes they did in that era was Hats and Toy Soldiers. Now,
the Baroque. I don't think the Baroque was ever done before.
No, it might not.
Do you remember a band doing powdered wigs?
No, I not for that, no. But I'll explain what I mean by different, right? I didn't consider the Baroque or classical one because I think the music for some people's pretty...
it was very recognizable.
Yeah, and I think the imagery is recognizable. Sure. I'll explain.
The movie had just come out, so
Amadeus, right? The reason I put Toy Soldiers on the most different was because they did something different with the costumes. They went with that hot pink thing, remember? All right, they got 13th. That was the lowest of the era, and I would imagine to believe it was the lowest prize they got because suit counted for a lot back then. Yep. They probably got hammered. Now, I don't know if that's true, but I would venture to guess that might be a big reason why. And the second lowest prize of that era was the Hats. They got 11th. So both times they did something pretty different. One with a traditional theme where they tried to go out on a limb, and 2 with a very different theme altogether did not go well. That was 13th and 11th. The other prizes in that era were 4th, 3rd, 10th, 4th, 2nd, 9th, 1st, and 3rd. So every other theme that they did that was relatively traditional, they did really
well. Sure.
So, I mean,
out of the box in the 80s wasn't a thing.
No,
it was like, huh?
Yeah,
you're doing what?
I agree with you.
But reality, out of the box, has it ever really been a thing? And if you do like a decade, there might be one thing that is, you look at it and you go, wow, I'd never seen that before.
I could say the tail end of the 2010s and the early part of like the 2020s. I think people were starting to try to do something.
Yeah.
Like
that was,
You could try.
70s, 80s, 90s. It
Yeah.
was just like throw it up in the air.
Because that's one of the,
Everyone
that's
was
one of the
so-
things that goes up my ass sideways on Mom Nation, where people complain about everything's the same. Well, then I'll give you my phone number. Give me something different, and I'm pretty sure somebody will try it.
That's 215.
all right. So I told you we were
But
going to.
in my opinion, the greatest out of the box theme ever was Hegman's Havoc theme. The Household Havoc.
Yeah, I agree
Greatest.
with that. Yeah. It's,
Absolutely greatest.
even if your opinion says it's not the most, it's one of the most for sure, I think. But I said we were going to look at the 70s too. And again, 70s in particularly for Kensington, right? So looking at the 70s, right? In 75, again, middle of the decade, 22 bands. All right. So my personal opinion is that these themes I'm about to read off are arguably way more unique than stated of their uniqueness in the 80s, right? But the prizes are 1,000 times worse. Okay. So again, from 70 to 79, we got Sunrise, Sunset. I don't know what that means. It could have been a weather theme, or it could have been like Fiddler on the Roof. I don't know.
What year is that?
It's 1970. And they got 11th for that. Then in 71, Mummers Puppets. It could have been marionettes. I'm not sure, but they got 15th. Piper's Holiday got 15th. The Red Garter Review, and I feel like I know what that is. 19th. Island, 6th. Music, 2nd. They did a State Fair theme for 6th. Vaudeville, 10th. Dixieland, 11th. And then in 79, they did the Oz, where they won. Right? Now, again,
Damn, no video.
3 or 4 of the more common themes.
It's upstairs, Bill.
Yeah, go upstairs. 3 or 4 of the more common themes, again, in this period were the only ones that they did well in prize-wise. Now, again, I know we're not connecting, prize to how different or the execution or whatever, but I mean, there has to be some marriage between that.
It all comes down to Jeff, I'm just going to put this out there. Opinions are like hiney holes, right? Everybody's got one. They all stink. But, your opinions are valid. They are. You appreciated the Greater Kensington String Band in the 1980s. I mean, so did I. But I don't know that I'm just going to put a label on them.
Yeah, it's hard to.
Only because of all of the facets of what it takes to be the band of the 80s. And, there were a lot of great bands in the 80s. There were a lot of bands who did really, really unique things. Polish American, come on now. Polish American, they were incredible.
Yeah, they were really good.
They were the Rocky Balboa of the 1980s.
Yep. So
they may not have won every fight, but man, were they in it until the end, right?
If I was going to label like the band of the 80s, PA was either first or second.
Yeah.
For me, for sure. The barroom theme, the Dr. High Tech.
Sure.
How many bands did a sequel theme? Right? You want to talk about execution not being
absolutely
a factor. Okay,
absolutely.
They won the first one. They got what, 7th or 9th or something. The second one. But when did you ever see a band do a sequel theme? That does not happen. You know what I mean? So yeah, I agree. PA is definitely up there.
I think that the Post may have jostled a few people's opinions on whether or not Jeff is stating fact or just his opinion, which I think he cleared that up in the second post.
Sure.
How he stated that he appreciated certain different things and he thought that Greater Kensington was his pick to be the band of the 80s. I just don't know, and if I'm being honest, I don't know outside of Frailinger, and that strictly comes down to music for me. Even and show wise too, the Joker theme in '84.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was simple. It was super simple. It was a musical monster. It was a simple costume with a 2-sided pit band suit that blew your mind, right?
Yeah.
I remember seeing Buddy Ray in his mother's living room prior to New Year's with his suit on. I was a kid. I was a little kid. We used to play on Monumenting Avenue in that suit, and they were all autumn colors. I don't know if you ever saw that suit up close, but it wasn't pretty. It was orange and brown and all leaves all over, and it just wasn't the nicest suit you can imagine. But it was what they did with it, And then they come back in '85, which I thought was interesting, with what I thought may have been the nicest suit one of the nicest suits to ever go up the street, and they got crushed for it. And it's I don't know if you've ever heard it or not, but the judge literally said a tuxedo is a tuxedo. And that's what they called the pit band. Yeah,
really.
They said that on their judges like written down things. Well, a tuxedo is a tuxedo.
Wow.
And but I mean that suit was phenomenal. It was really good. I mean that was like just in costume alone. I was like, there's no way that anybody's competing with this that day. But just Mike Rare did so many simple things that made it look like, oh my God, he just reinvented the wheel. Herbie, it's just Herbie Smith. That's all you gotta say. You don't have to say nothing else. And Billy, I mean, come on, man. Billy just, he took bad themes and put them, made them great. So for me, it's a no-brainer to talk about Fralinger in the 80s. And I'm a Quaker guy. You cut my veins and maroon blood comes out, right?
Yeah.
But it's a no-brainer.
I'm with you, brother.
And that's just me. That's my opinion. My opinion stinks. It does. Jeff, I think your opinion's great. I don't agree with it, but I think your opinion's great, and you have every right to put that out there. Just be able to accept in the posts at the bottom, be able to accept that what's going to come, and guys are going to maybe disagree.
Right.
But it is what it is. I applaud Jeff for putting it out there and saying that he thought that was his band of the 80s.
He puts out some great content.
Yeah, absolutely.
And really does.
And to be clear, the reason that we did bring it up is because of the comments, that people were posting. It's really just let's look at it. Let's weigh it out and see why people disagree with it, but not discredit someone for actually thinking that. I mean, if there's people that think only the band they're in is the greatest thing ever.
I'm still waiting for Jeff to talk about Quaker City. I don't think I've ever heard those words come out of his mouth.
I don't know. I'll tell you what, though, because he did that, I sat down and watched the whole 80s.
Yeah, so there's no negative about
Bill, that was every Friday and Saturday night in your house when I used to hang in your house when I was a kid.
You ever been there for me and my dad fighting over Fralinger and Quaker?
The cabinet of tapes.
Yes.
The only thing that Billy is right about is Quaker is better than Fralinger, but
I don't. I'm not going to disagree. No, just kidding.
And going back to what he said about their opening scene being a little off, I think the smoke and the confetti brought it back to life.
I think it was you as a marshal.
Well, that
I don't want to pat my own back.
We actually said that. We actually said it was the Billy Yoakum effect.
I think it was. Yeah. I really do.
I mean, the Shooting Stars haven't appreciated that yet, but Quaker City's definitely. We got a plaque coming your way, Bill.
I heard that.
It just got lost in the mail.
Some of the best Stars themes was the years Billy took off.
Got lost in the mail.
All right. Well, we actually have Chalie Kapusniak here down here tonight.
That's why I'm getting out of here.
Yeah, he's gonna get out of here, Spank. Hit the road. No, but we do a thank you for coming out again tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was fun.
We literally said before you got here,
love talking mums.
That you just bring a great spirit to the episodes when you're on. It's fun, and
you do the same thing when you're DJing too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Great spirit. I hear it all the time.
My wife said at Tugger's party. I went over and we were just bullshitting for a couple minutes, and I went back. And my wife said, "What the hell were you two talking about so long?" We talked for almost an hour, and I think we talked about Quaker City and Shooting Stars.
Now, did Chalie help Quaker on New Year's, or was he still milking the recovery from
Chalie Kapusniak?
Yeah.
No, he was there. Absolutely.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, him and Michael both were there. I mean, and Mason was there too. Yeah, I mean, the support that we get from each other it's incredible.
Yeah,
and cool. Mike, before I go though, if we can I plug that Battle of the Bands because that's coming up?
I forgot. I wanted you to do that. Yeah,
it's going to be a really unique night here. It's something we started last year, and we did the inner house bands. So we thought, how can we make it interesting again and not just the same old? And I reached out to the guys down the street, and I'm like, you know what? We've been neighbors for years. We've been rivals for years. What would be a better sell than the Battle of the Bands, Clash of the Titans, Quaker City and Fralinger? Not to disrespect any other band out there, but we just have Quaker City and Fralinger has had a tie for as long as I've been in Quaker City for 40 years, and I know that it's always been a thing, So June 24th, Wednesday night, here at the Mummers Museum, weather permitting, it will be outside in the parking lot with food trucks and with different beverages that'll be available via the museum, and T-shirt sales. Bring your own chair. Doors will open at 6 o'clock. There is a $5 donation to get into the area. And there'll be one area that everybody can funnel in through. If it does rain, and if we do know that there's going to be rain, it will be inside the museum on the same night. All the same aspects. You won't have to bring a chair for that though. Same thing though. Doors will open at 6 o'clock. But we're just trying to have some fun in a time where we don't do anything. You know, we're doing summer jobs and things like that. But like it's hard for me as music director to get my guys engaged during a rehearsal in the summertime when, the Phillies are on downstairs, or, the Flyers just made it as far as they did going into June or going into late May rather, with playoffs. And, you're having a rehearsal on a Wednesday and guys are like, yeah, we're playing the same old stuff and maybe we can get downstairs and have beer. But now it's like, now we got something to work for. It's fun. We're putting a show together again. It's almost like New Year's stuff again.
Yeah.
We're putting a show together. We're going to go out and we're going to have this competition with our friends down the street, and we just want everybody to come out and have a good time because the museum doesn't have the concerts anymore. And I think a lot of people, the neighborhood especially, they miss that.
Yeah, I think so.
They miss a night out under the stars hearing string band music, and we're trying to just give that a little bit of that back. And working with Brian Donnelly, who's been amazing. Giving us the museum and allowing us to do this. I think everybody's in for a treat that night. So if you're not doing anything, June 24th, once again, Wednesday night, come on out and see the Fralinger and the Quaker City String Band put on two phenomenal shows.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Smack, but you can find information about this on both Quaker and Fralinger's social media.
That's correct. Okay. Yes. And the teaser was just put out recently. So just, put in the search bar Quaker City or Battle of the Bands, and the teaser will come up, and the information's on at the end of the teaser. There are also flyers here at the museum, because I know some people have been calling the museum wanting information. There are flyers here for anyone that wants to maybe take something home. You can stop by the museum; they can give you a flyer.
All right, there you go, and we'll put the information for that in the description of the episode in case you're interested in coming out to see it, which you should be interested in come out.
I'm going to post it on Mum Nation too.
All right, there you go. All right, well, thank you, Spank, for coming out. We appreciate it, and I'm sure this will not be the last time that we see you.
If you win next year, you got to come back.
Yeah. If you win next, no.
When?
Well,
sorry.
Here we go.
See you in January.
Sorry.
See, now Billy says that about the Stars now. When we win. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
All right, Spank. Thanks a lot, buddy. We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, guys. It's a lot of fun. Appreciate you.
All right. So, as promised, a two-guest night. Down at the end of the table here, we have the captain of one of the greatest fancy brigades of all time, the Shooting Stars, Chalie Kapusniak, and a little bit of a different year for him this year, probably pretty unique for a captain. He was captain on New Year's Day, but not performing captain. So we're going to get into that a little bit. I'm sure some people, if you're in the brigade, you definitely know about this. If you're in other divisions, I'm sure you probably do. But we're going to get into that story a little bit and how Chalie's New Year's experience was pretty unique for a captain this year. So honestly, I'm just going to throw it to you, Chalie, because I think the best person to just take us through this whole experience is obviously you. So let's just start with, obviously, your plan is you're working on the show, you're going to the convention center, and then what happened?
So obviously I somehow could go to work and go to the convention center and do everything between work and the convention center. So Monday I went to work, and around lunchtime I started feeling like I was getting a stomach bug or something. I just felt nauseous, just wasn't feeling right. Like, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I'm just going to go home. Went home, ended up, getting sick, and, thought again, I'm just run down and I'm going to sleep it off. And I woke up Tuesday, it was the walkthrough day. I didn't feel much better, but I wasn't getting sick anymore. And, Michael Adams called me. He's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm coming. I'll be there. I don't know how much I'm going to do. And I got up there. What did I last, Bill?
You didn't even make it to the floor.
45 minutes into our practice beforehand.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier. I said last I seen, he was sitting there and he was yellow.
Oof.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing and then you were gone.
Yeah, so a couple guys in the club, their wives are nurses. They're, go home and drink magnesium citrate and eat Dulcolax. You'll feel better, because I just had a really bad stomach cramp that I can't describe it. It's something that you think you're run down and this, that, the other thing, and it turned out it was a whole lot more than that. So Tuesday night I went home, I went to sleep, and I woke up New Year's Eve morning, Wednesday. And I told my wife, I said, we have to go to the hospital. Something's wrong with me. Because at that point, I was felt like somebody had a knife on the right side of my stomach. Get to the hospital. Nobody really knows at that point. They take me back for a couple scans, and the doctor comes back and he tells me, you have to get your appendix out. So my first response was, can I come back on January 2nd? And I explained, I'm in the Mummers Parade and captain of the Fence Brigade, and, tomorrow's the big day. He said, yeah, you can go home. He said, but, you're probably going to have to get cut open on the 2nd and not just a laparoscopic surgery like I could do today. So I look at my wife, I'm like, got to do the surgery. I said, but while I'm getting the surgery, I need you to go down to the club and meet Lasasa and set the makeup up for tomorrow. So I made all my phone calls, and, the biggest phone call that I remember making was to Mason and saying, where you at? He's like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm like, all right, well, you got to get down, go walk away. We have to have a conversation. He knew I was in the hospital. I don't think he was expecting me to tell him that. Yeah. So he got down, he called me back. I told him, you're going to have to leave the convention center and go try the suit on. I said, because I'm not going to be able to wear it tomorrow. And it was like, I don't know if he dropped the phone or just his jaw dropped or whatever. But yeah, I mean, turns out I had to have a surgery. The only way that I would have the surgery was the doctor. I told him, as soon as the surgery's over and I wake up from the anesthesia, I need to go.
I'm
Wow.
sure he loved you.
Wasn't lying either.
No, it was a crazy chain of events. And I told Billy earlier, kind of is a fog, kind of like I remember it, but I don't really remember a whole lot of it just because of how it went down. And yeah, it was pretty insane.
Now, when you had the conversation with Mason about having to take over, right? And after he realized you were being serious, was there any time that he had to say, all right, let me think about it, or was it an immediate he was going to do it? What was...
He was in.
He was in?
He was in. No hesitation. The biggest thing that we knew we had to do was make sure that suit fit. Mm-hmm. I know I have, Rini in my back pocket. I said, you have to make sure that suit fits, because I'm not sure that Ralph's going to have the time to do it. We have to make sure that if this thing needs to get opened up and resized, it's going to fit you.
Right. Now, I mean, I know he's co-captain, right? He is co-captain.
Yeah.
Would you have blamed him if he was like, I don't really think I want to do it? I mean, I get that's usually would be the co-captain, and if the captain can't do it, but on that short of notice, I mean, I guess it's kind of... If he would have said no, would you have blamed him, I guess is what I'm...
No. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, that wasn't even ever a thought in my mind. Mason lives and breathes just like I do, so I don't think there was ever going to be a second that even crossed his mind, so it never really crossed mine. Mm-hmm. But no, I wouldn't have blamed him for that.
What? Okay.
I was gonna say, were you worried at all asking him if he could do it or how it would affect the show?
I wasn't worried about asking him. I was more worried about putting him in that situation, right? Because as captain, you kind of know where you need to be and you visualize it. And, he had literally less than 24 hours to, one, take it all in, and then two, have to...
Marks and... Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And learn the whole middle. Just we talked about it, because he was a vampire and they left.
He knows that thing.
But he's the one.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it all the time. We don't have Jacqueline most Sundays, right? So
yeah,
Jacqueline teaches on Thursdays. Mason learns it and then reviews it with the guys on Sundays. But yeah, I mean, it's not something that he had in his head. And again, getting picked up from the hospital. My mom picked me up, me and my wife, and she's like, taking you home. I said, no, you're not. And where are we going? I said, you're dropping me off at the club. And I ended up going to the club, hobbled in. You know, we have a tradition, me and a couple of my friends, of when we're done at the convention center, we go and set the sound truck up at the garage. And I made it there. And I came back, Mason was at the club, and like, let's go upstairs. We got to put this thing on. Put it on, it fit. And, you know, I say it to him all the time, you look like the deer in headlights, just standing there, like, not moving. I'm like, break it in, dude, go ahead. And then Mickey Adams was there, and he suggested that we go up to EOM. And we were up there for quite a while. And, you know, we had the music on, and I was just more worried about getting his points with him, right? I need to be here at this point, you know, spin. The drill I was not worried about. You know, it just, you know, you asked that question earlier, did I have any doubt or anything? No, I never had a doubt in Mason. It was more me putting him in that situation. You know, I wanted to make sure he had what he needed to get that done.
I know that you obviously had in your mind what your routine was going to be, where your points were going to be, where you needed to be on the floor at any given time or off, and trying to convey that to him in a short period of time. You know, you may have had to pivot a little bit, right? I don't think the audience would know, and quite frankly, I think he was first prize captain in my mind. But how much of that, because probably only you and him would really know, how much of that was, you know, your drill or what he was supposed to do or made up just on a whim? Like, you know, was a lot of that what he was already supposed to do in his member role, or was it all of what you were supposed to do? How did you get through trying to teach him that? And was any of it simplified compared to what you were going to do to make it easier?
No. I mean, the whole entire opening he was involved. He knew what he needed to do. It was just points where he needed to be at that point. He knew the whole opening. And then once we got into the lab and the Franks and the brides and all that stuff came out, it was a little more uncomfortable for him, right? Because he knew the drill, but he was never out there for it. And, you know, I think he killed it. I think he went out there and absolutely blew that part away.
Yep.
And then, you know, the O Fortuna and the Phantom of the Opera, you know, he was out there. He was the point man in the triangle. I was going to be behind him. And as they were down, I was going to come up and do everything. So it kind of actually worked out. But no, he really didn't have to learn much of the drill. It was more of where he needed to be.
Gotcha. So obviously, aside from your family, he's probably one of the first people that you talked to when you knew you were not going to be able to perform. Was there a point, like an official talk with the club as a whole, where you had to say, "Hey guys, this is what's going on," or what's just kind of whisper down the lane type of deal?
Most people knew. I kind of wanted to keep it to myself just because I didn't want there to be an uproar, right? It's the day before New Year's. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of finishing touches. You know, I told who I felt I needed to tell. You know, and that was a conversation that myself, Mason, and Michael had after we were done at EOM on New Year's Eve. Like, how are we approaching this tomorrow? Right? I don't even know if I'm going to wake up tomorrow and know that I'm going to be able to make it. You know, and we talked it through, and, you know, after Mason got dressed and my dad introduced me, I came out, you know, I said what I had to say and let them know, you know, how I felt. And then I introduced Mason as their marching captain, and you're going to get behind him. And yeah, it was wild.
Emotional.
Like, it's all coming back now, and it's wild to think of how that all went down. And it was crazy. You know, Sage just said to me the other day, she's like, you know, you're about to get surgery, and she's like, you're telling me to go down and make sure Lasasa's set up for makeup and come back after. And it just, the whole entire thing was just crazy to me.
I was going to ask, obviously your family knows what a commitment this is, you know,
Yeah.
for you. Was there a point where they were pushing back of like, hey, your health is just more important than this tradition?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of downplayed it, like, before New Year's Eve, that it was just my nerves and I was run down, and, you know, but yeah, my wife, you know, she's fully supportive of everything I do. And, you know, when I brought up the coming back January 2nd for surgery, she like looked at me and like, at this point, we got to do what we have to do. I can't risk my health for for the Mummers break.
Yeah, no, that you can't do that. And as a regular member of the Stars, how did the club react getting behind?
Oh, we were behind Mason. The only concern that I had, and I didn't voice it to him, I didn't talk to him. I was talking to Michael the whole time, and my only concern with Mason was he carried that vampire group for 6 months. I mean, when Mason performs, and he was the point man, and we were taking him out of that spot, and I thought that might not be a good idea. But then talking to Michael, it took me maybe 10 seconds, and I was like, yeah, you're right. I mean, we've been here before. I mean, you with Michael with Mickey, now Mason with you. So when you're a co-captain in the Shooting Stars, chances are you might be putting a suit on and doing it. And Mason is, I mean, he was born for that. And there was no hesitation all day. I mean, you seen he was a little nervous. I've never seen Mason nervous before. He was nervous. I kept talking to little Chalie during the day, making sure his head was right, because he was just getting over being hurt too. He didn't draw all year because he had a cast on his foot. So I kept going over and talking to him, but it was probably the most emotional New Year's morning ever. I mean, I've known his dad since I was 4. Never seen him cry. And you seen the video Mikey Cap did, and my wife must have watched it 10 times. She kept rewinding it. She couldn't even understand him. Was he yelling or something? Because he had no voice.
No,
whatsoever.
I mean, he was just hysterical.
Yeah, he was a mess. He was a mess. And he made us a mess. And then Chalie came in and said what he had to say. And then Mason came in. It was a roller coaster in the morning. But when we left the club, every single guy wearing Shooting Stars was ready to run through the wall that day. I mean, I haven't felt that way in a long time. I mean, if he did what he did, how do we not go out and do the couple of things that he's asking us to do? So morale was really high.
Now, John, on a normal year, how are you normally on New Year's Day? Are you a nervous guy? Are you a calm, like collected type guy? Business, like how are you normally?
I mean, I'm nervous. I mean, I try not to show it, but you know, I'm not freaking out. I mean, do you think I am, Bill? I think I'm pretty.
No, I think
level-headed.
you're worse at drill.
Yeah.
New Year's Day, you kind of, you know.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty level-headed, and I've learned after the first year or two that the club feeds off of your energy, and if you're nervous and not having a good day and it's written all over your face, then the club typically follows that.
Yeah. So the reason I asked is, I'm sure Mason was a little bit nervous. I mean, it obviously totally understood, but did you help him kind of manage that? Maybe share some moments aside with just you and him and kind of try to slow him down a little bit at all?
Yeah, I mean, it was, we got dressed he got dressed in Mickey's house, and, Mason's late for everything. And, that's one thing that I'm not. I'm usually on time or a little bit early. And, the club's ready, and all the makeup's done on all the guys. And, dude, where are you at? Right? Long story short, we get down there, and he gets dressed. I asked everybody to go upstairs, and I just turned to him. I said, listen, enjoy today. I said, this is something that is going to go down in history. I said, don't wear your heart on your sleeve, right? You're leading one of the biggest fans brigades down the street. And, I want you to make sure you keep your head on your shoulders and stay focused, because we got a parade to win. And that's basically how that went. And then, I was with him all day from start to finish. Even pulling up outside here, I wasn't sure that I was going to make 2nd Street, but I felt good. So, I walked, and, he was expecting me to lead the club down the street. And I turned to him, and I said, go ahead. He said, no, this is your club. I said, not today, buddy. You're the marching captain of the club. And he had a great time. I think going into it, he was scared to death. Getting that phone call on New Year's Eve, I couldn't imagine. But as the day progressed, the confidence got there, and, he's got a great support system behind him. And, myself, Mickey, Michael, his father, there's a lot of us there that were coaching him along and getting him where he needed to be. He didn't have to worry about performing. That's one thing he didn't have to worry about.
Yeah, the one point you just brought up, I was actually going to ask you about, which was, did you see him struggling to have a good time with it because of the circumstances? Like, was there any point where you had to say, like, hey, it's all right to enjoy this at all? You know what I mean?
No, I think having that conversation with him New Year's morning before we went into the club kind of settled him down a little bit.
Yeah.
But no, I think he did everything he needed to do and led the club exactly how I would have.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, how'd you handle the prizes New Year's night? Because you usually give the prize, right? Did you pass that to him? Did you still do it? Do it together? How'd that go down?
I don't remember.
I think it was the Tuies. Got up on the bar.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
Of all the people to remember that, you would not have been the one.
Well, yeah, true.
Yeah, it was. We did get up on the bar. You're right.
Yeah, and I'm sure I know that you wanted to win and all that kind of stuff, but I thought it was really well done. I don't know how you felt about it, and obviously it was a little bit of a different day for you. Now you weren't out front watching, right? You were still involved with being in the prop area during the show, right?
I promised my wife that I would sit up front, so I started up front, and then I ended up running to the back at the end. Yeah, screaming and hollering.
So you saw a little bit of it out front.
Yeah. I will tell you, I have a totally different perspective of behind the scenes. It's actually mass chaos. I never expected that in my life, but totally different.
Not something that you want to keep doing.
No.
Me and Haley always laugh about our favorite moment on the broadcast when they're talking in the booth about wishing you well and hoping for a speedy recovery, and you're on the floor.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty cool moment actually to see both of you guys out there at the same time.
It's good that you ran to the back because then you were able to.
Well, I was planning on going back to that lift because the suit was near impossible for him to get on. So when he got back there, he had to literally step on it sideways. So he held my hands and got up on it, and then I just stood there and lifted the lift up with the guys. But then on the way back down, it got stuck. So we brought him. He grabbed onto my shoulder and my Uncle Brian's shoulder and got down. I said, "Go ahead, go do your thing, brother." And he grabbed my hand. He's like, "I'm not going anywhere without you." And he brought me out with him. So it was a cool moment.
That's my favorite part of it.
Yeah, it is cool. Yeah,
it literally was because I walked out to grab a box and I turned around and they were coming and I thought, wow, that's really cool.
I think that moment and just in general the string band day, the way that went, those are like my two top moments of this past year.
Yeah,
Mummer stuff definitely. Is awesome.
And you were there for that too, right?
Yeah,
the string band thing.
Yeah, I was
so
there.
Again, you fell in. You had to do the props again.
Yeah.
Was it as chaotic that way as it was with the brigades, or?
I never expected the amount of stuff, the walls flipping, and the creativity behind it. I opened my eyes to stuff that we're not doing that we should be doing.
Right.
But no, I thought it was a good day.
Was that your first cancellation where you filled in with a string band? Have you ever done it before?
The last time we did it, the string bands performed on the second.
Okay.
I don't remember when that was. So half of the club went to help Quaker, and half of us stayed at the convention center.
Yeah.
So no, I didn't go the last time.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, what did you think of that experience being with the string band? I mean, I know you said you took away a lot of it, but just from a compare contrast scenario, what was it like being with a string band, having never done that before?
I mean, I had fun. I was just recovering from sitting around doing nothing for 3.5 weeks, and it was a good time, and we helped Frailinger, we helped Quaker. It was different. Let's put it that way. I took it as a learning lesson. Like I say, the creativity that the string bands have with, I'll say it again, the walls flipping and the float spins around and then the next panel flips around and it's a whole nother scene. That's something we never thought of. Everything's so light.
Putting sandbags on it to give it weight. It's something that we've never done.
I really didn't think of this until right this minute, but everybody at the table except for me was a marshal at the string band show, and all you guys, the competition was over, so it was kind of like a take notes and learning type day. Steal this, steal that, if you could. Whereas for us, it was you're still got the game face on, even though it's the 31st. And then in reverse for the string band guys, a lot of string band guys came and helped brigades when it got postponed. Or whatever. So it was kind of like a vice.
And I said it before. I was more nervous with the string bands than I am because I know the show.
Right.
The full 4 minutes where, I was handed a confetti gun and smoke and stuff and said, do it here. I do it on D flat. Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
You know
yeah.
what that is?
I am definitely.
Exactly.
I am not nervous to perform. I am definitely more nervous as a marshal. I feel like you make a mistake as a marshal, it sticks out way more than it does if you're in a
Yeah.
suit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know how you feel. Like, are you a guy as captain? Do you like to be like super rehearsed? I know all my choreography, or are you a make up stuff while you're out there?
For me personally,
Yeah.
Bill, you want to answer that?
Nah, he's down to the second. I mean, we spend a lot of time on Thursdays. Me and Michael will bullshit watching, and we'll say there's an empty spot right there, and Michael will walk over, and next drill, Chalie's there. So he's well rehearsed.
Okay. So
Well rehearsed. Yeah.
getting off this year, right? In the years that you have performed so far as captain, was there any year or any moment of any year that you can recall where you got knocked off your game a little bit? And
1,000%.
All right,
Chinese.
Let us hear it.
So Chinese year, Billy had a cart, one of the carts with the lanterns, and my father-in-law Rick had the cart on the other side, and I'm in the middle. I'm doing my thing, and I look over to my left. Billy's good. The guys are getting their lanterns off of this cart. I look to the right, and there's no cart. So now I'm like, I just completely just forget everything I'm supposed to be doing. So I ad-lib that.
That's a horrible feeling.
I start picking back up. I get my groove going back again, and then during the finale, I get in front of Mason, and Mason's pulling me back where the scrolls pulled closed. Mm-hmm. And it's like the only time the whole entire show that I was not on the floor. So I'm like bent over, catching my breath, and I look over, and the one scroll is bow tied. After that, I was done. If you watch me, like everybody in the club, like, what are you doing? I said, I have no idea. I don't even remember doing that.
It's funny that you say that because I was just thinking, I have never been in an instance where I had to make something up, but I can imagine like in that moment you just keep going, but afterwards you got to be like, what did I even do?
Yeah.
What did I do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it you know the music in and out, and you know what you're supposed to be doing, but you just get stuck on that one thing, and it's like, damn, man, I screwed that up.
And you do something you didn't do in 6 months.
Yep.
I did it the African year. I spun. I didn't spin for 6 months, but I spun on the African year.
Now, Bill, when you were captain, were you?
No, I wasn't nervous. We left knowing we weren't winning.
Child, did Billy tell you that he called me New Year's Eve and told me that he was going to be captain for the Stars?
I was wearing a suit.
Oh, great.
It fit like a glove.
Yeah, he said,
Literally.
I got to get fitted for the suit.
I will say one thing when you were talking about prizes. The one thing I do remember, you said we got third, and right away, you go to who won. And he said, you guys won, and I don't think we were in the club a minute, and you said, let's go. Yeah. And we went around to the downstairs, which I thought was really cool. There was not 30 seconds of, shit. It was, let's go. And I was a pretty proud moment for me, especially doing the show, knowing that you guys were there. And that was pretty cool because it's real easy to get full of yourself and say, but never did it. And it showed a lot of maturity.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking that you were going to be still up and running at that point in the day, and I have to say it was really, really cool when not only obviously the Stars came down to congratulate the Downtowners, but to see you still there and get up on the truck and talk, and everybody be like, "Oh, be careful, don't grab them too hard."
Yeah, I mean, it was something that I felt like I had to do. All seeing the Sanborns and the Downtowners, we have a really good relationship, and to see a club like the Downtowners, pop a first prize, it's something I felt like we had to make an immediate appearance at.
Yeah, and Haley, that was one of the main things you commented on, that Chalie was there, and
seeing you run in the crowd, I was like, holy shit, he's okay. I was like, oh
and we were legitimately happy too. It wasn't like you got to do it. We were legitimately happy to go around and do it.
I said on one of the previous shows that the way that was handled in general, you can't expect that from all clubs, but you guys handled it with a lot of class. I think like you do most things anyway. So it was just really nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, obviously with the relationship that we have and stuff, if the Stars won, we would have felt the same way.
Right.
We would have been down there for that too. Cause you were there too. You came down and everything, you were just on your way home.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the club emptied out. I think majority of the membership.
Yeah, there
came
was
around.
a lot of.
Yeah,
a
we
lot of
went around
stuff,
thick.
Yeah.
It was definitely one of the better trophy exchange moments I have gotten to be a part of, because there were so many of the club that came down. It was really cool. Very, very, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a pretty good. Spanky was just saying it. We got a pretty good core, and like not a lot of captains have that. Where if he has a question, he could fall back to Michael. He could fall back to Mickey. Not a lot of clubs have that, and that's really good to have.
Yeah, I have to ask you your opinion on this, because he's right, Billy. We talked about this with Spanky tonight, that Quaker has the ability to not only hold members for lifetimes or whatever, but even after they're retired, they still come around. They hang around the club. They come to rehearsal. They're listened to, and the Stars have that. You know, what is it about the club and the way things are ran that the guys stay? They come around. They remain involved. You know, what is it about the club? Because not every club has that.
I mean, if you look at it, I think it's, you know, Mickey's generation that came up. You know, they knew what it took to win. You know, they were involved. You know, and once they started getting on that streak of, you know, 92, 93, 94, 97, they just stayed, right? And we all became family. And then Michael Stepp came up, and you know, he has his core. And now with me, if you look at the guys that are around for me, I have, you know, guys from Sonny Wenick and Mickey Adams to Uncle Zudi, Jimmy Bradley, all the way down to my son who's 16 years old that jump in and help. It's, you know, we try to make it fun. You know, it's not all doom and gloom and hard work all the time. You know, I'm a very, very, very hands-on captain. I like my hands on everything, garage, costumes, you name it. But I have a good group that I can kind of break up each thing and know that they're going to get it started and taken care of and do it to how I want it. I mean, Billy says to me all the time he doesn't understand how when I sleep between working at UPS and then being the captain. But the core of guys that we have and the setup that we have, it's
special.
It's definitely something that I know that I won't take for granted.
Mm-hmm. We've talked about this with the Stars in past episodes, like when it's just the three of us and we're talking about, you know, prizes or whatever. But the turnaround of the Stars from the couple years where the finish was a little bit lower than traditional for the Stars, and then popping right back up to top 3, top 2 first, right? Mm-hmm. As somebody who was a part of that as captain for not for the 1 year Michael was still captain, but what was the change? What did you realize had to be different? How did you go about totally going in a different direction? And how does the club even buy into that? Because again, that's not something that a lot of clubs can just turn around like that, you know?
I mean, again, we after Marionettes, we got together. There was a group of probably, Bill, 25 or 30 of us.
Yeah.
And I put it out there, where we go from here, because this isn't the Shooting Stars, right? We got to do something. And we started throwing things out there, designers, choreographers, costumers, and, we basically changed our entire design or creative team minus Grazier.
Grazier is the only one that stayed.
Yeah. So it was a collective thing. I knew things had to change, but going into year one, I kind of didn't really know what was what. As much as I was involved, I needed to get my feet wet before making any major changes. But it's not one person. I cannot say that I could do this alone. It's something that I have guys that are musically talented and tell me that sounds great, but that ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
Our guys ain't gonna be able to dance to that. The Sonny Wenick in the garage, and I have this big vision in my head, and like, you got 100,000, so I have guys that kind of bring me back down to reality, and then once we figure out what reality actually is, they make it come to life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, what is the Stars process? Take us in that a little bit deeper. I know you mentioned you like to be hands on with everything, but there's guys you can trust for certain things. So just take us through. Let's say this past year, right? Where did the idea come from, and then how does it unravel into the show? Because again, every club is different in this way. I'm just curious how you guys go about that process.
So last year we had 2 themes. We had heard that one was potentially being turned in, so we needed a concept, right? I'm lying. We had 1 theme, and there was a couple concepts out there. And when I got here, turn-in day, I had 2 envelopes or 2 folders, and I knew what my number 1 was. And after I started hearing, what the Downtowners and the Vikings and all turned in, I had a feeling I could still get in what I wanted to. But I kind of went the opposite direction and turned in my concept. And that's all it was for months. It was, we had no idea. And then Epic Universe opened up, and we started kind of pulling different things from Epic Universe. And a couple guys in the club found an awesome video where the cemetery fell down, and that's where we pulled that from. And the hardest thing about last year was the music. We knew what we wanted, but we just couldn't find it. And then the hardest part was probably O for Tune at the end. It was so hard. We tried to get it remade. It wasn't working. And then out of nowhere, I just found this remix of it, and it definitely turned into something better than I thought it was going to. I knew we were doing monsters, but originally we weren't doing vampires, and we weren't doing the stained glass. And then once the concept came into place, and we saw South Philly stuff, and we bought the spiders and the couple different things we bought from them, and it just evolved. It evolved quick, and it was a group of us. I don't make any major decisions without the guys that are right behind me doing it.
Yeah. I always feel as though with the Stars, I think you have said this before, and I know you have said it before. I always feel like the Stars, musically, no one is better. I always think the Stars music score that's put together is always great choices.
I was going to say, it's always a soundtrack to your show.
Yeah.
There's no arguing.
So I was going to ask you specifically, like, do you have a core of guys dedicated to music, or do you just have, like a lot of emphasis on the music side of the show? Do you put that together first? Like, I'm just curious because you guys, I'm going back even to the Mickey.
Yeah.
You guys musically have always been.
There's a handful of us. Billy loves sending me 30 different soundtracks and music, and but once we find like ideas of what we want, Zach Marker will sit with me. I think we had 31 versions of last year's music, and I'll tell him put a horse walking across cobblestones, do this, do that, and he makes it come to life. And the transition from scene to scene he comes up with, and if he's got to create a piece of music, he does. It's it's definitely a lot of time and a lot of effort that goes into it, but without his talent, we wouldn't be able to be where we're at with the music.
Yeah, for sure. I always feel like, too, maybe you can back this up, not a lot of stuff leaks from the Stars. Like, you don't hear a lot about what's going on with them. I mean, like how you're doing monsters and that, but I think a lot of what you hear from the Stars tends to be speculation. So I'm curious, like, do you disclose things to the general population of the club, like, hey guys, we're going to be doing this or that, or give them a taste of something, or is everything completely secretive until a certain point in the year? I'm just curious how much you share with members.
I don't openly share anything. If a member's curious and wants to see what's going on, or make them understand, or they want to understand something, I'll show them. But the performers know just about everything that's going on. I mean, I will not send the drill out. If you want to see the drill, it'll be back on TV on Thursdays and Sundays after we're done. I will not send the music. If you want to listen to the music, come to the drill and listen to it. But concepts and stuff like that, like I don't have a problem laying the sketches out or showing them what we have going on, and but I don't openly have like meetings with the whole membership.
Yeah, and I think that's fine. I think sharing like sketches and stuff, because I mean obviously you're asking guys to play certain characters in the show. You want them to be able to see what they're going to be playing, give them an idea. But yeah, I think that's great because so many years now. I mean nowadays with social media and the phones and stuff, everybody seems to know what everybody has going on.
Yeah.
But there's always like one or two clubs that are a little bit elusive, and I feel like the Vikings are one, and the Stars, tend to be the other. But it's in my opinion, it's tough to draw the line between like how much to say and how much not to say, because then you got the guys that are like, well, how do you expect us to be in the show if you're not going to tell us this or that?
Yeah. I mean, I also will tell them that, this gets out, it's on you guys. I mean, I don't tell anybody anything, so I'll let you guys know whatever you want, but just know that if it gets out, it's on somebody that I'm telling. I'm not, and it's not coming from me.
Yeah,
I mean,
you put the concept out there.
Yeah.
Like, we're going out as monsters, and if you want to know more about the show, go down the basement. Go to the garage. It's really that simple.
Yeah, I mean, even the opening this year, like I did show them the video of the wall falling, and this is what we were trying to do and bring the vampires to life. And, they get fired up about it and all, but, you have that one or two guys, send me that. Like, no, sorry, that ain't happening.
I quit trying.
Well, yeah. That's like twice a week. You got sketches? Yeah. Send them to me. No.
I just want the music.
No.
You guys seem to have a pretty dedicated core that works on suits in-house as well, which is something else that not a lot of clubs have, or have at the level that you guys seem to have it. Knowing that you have that, is that one of the reasons that you decide to do more things in-house, or?
Yeah, no. I mean, Polynesian year, we did end up making 30 of our own suits.
Yeah.
And it was something that wasn't planned, and, it ended up costing us the same amount of money that it was to have them made, but because we didn't know what we were doing, right?
Right.
And then Chinese year, I think I made 7 or 8 of our own suits, and, it paid off. And those guys want to do that, right? They, we're not pattern makers, but, we're figuring it out, and we're getting where we need to be. And, I'm sitting at the sewing machine down the basement, and Billy's laughing at me, and, but no, they're ready to go, and they don't just do suits either. Hey guys, I need you up the garage tonight. We got to set up for the painter coming tomorrow, and we're up there setting walls up and painting, and there's a group of probably about 6 of them that will do whatever I need them to, but take that suit thing completely off my plate.
Yeah, that's awesome, because not every club, again, I keep saying it about the Stars, but not every club has that.
Right.
It's numbers wise, you guys are pretty blessed with the amount of guys you have even in the club in general. And then
Marshals.
Marshals even. Are most of your marshals members?
Most.
Yeah. That's another thing that a lot of clubs don't really
Yeah, and
have.
then we ask every member to bring one on New Year's Day. So we try to get about 80 marshals every year.
How are you guys with rehearsing your props and your prop drill and getting the marshals involved? Because it always seems like the Stars are very figured out by the time you get to the convention.
Really?
It seems that way.
I'm just the opposite.
Until this year. Up until this year. So before this year, we wouldn't really do much other than, Brian Smith and Vinny Harvey, like the main couple guys that were going to be behind the scenes. But we got together in probably September this year, and one of those guys brought up bringing all the non-members in, and laying the show out for them. So before we did that, we had a couple meetings so that we were all on the same page, and then we kind of, literally laid the entire show out, played the music, had a timesheet, and went prop by prop, and we assigned every marshal, every non-suit carrying member to a prop. So going into it, they knew, hey, you're on this stained glass, you're on, wherever they were. And I think after the second or third drill, we had the entire thing already lined up, and that's the first time since I've been able to remember that we didn't have a train wreck of a
Convention center's normally
convention
a
center
mess.
Yeah, I always just feel like, even going back to, I've only ever been in the convention center when you and Michael Adams were captain, but watching videos or being out there during rehearsal, it always seems like both you and him were very figured out when you're out there directing, doing things with the props, with the lighting, with the guys. It never seems like a big, giant cluster when you guys are out there. And even if you may be thinking that internally, on the outside, it doesn't ever seem like.
I mean, we Mason and I try to let Michael do his thing, right? He's the guy in charge of that. So we kind of, I don't want to take a step back because I don't want that to sound like that. But, Michael knows what's going on. So if he thinks we need to change something, he's going to do it. He doesn't have to ask me, right? If something needs to open 10 seconds earlier to make it happen, that's what he's going to do. But we typically don't have the manpower during rehearsal to get it done, right? Because 90% of our guys, if they're bringing somebody, they're only bringing them New Year's Day. So we're going from 40 or 50 during rehearsals to 80 to 100 on New Year's Day.
Right. I mean, this ties in with kind of what we were talking to Spanky about, because he's the music director, where to be hands-on and where to know, okay, these people got it, I'm just going to let them do their thing. It's kind of same thing you're saying. There's a fine line between, I'm going to insert myself here to make sure things are being done, but somebody like Michael, right? I'm just going to I trust him. I'm not being hands off, but I'm giving him this job, and I know he's going to get it done. So I'm just going to let him do it.
And again, there's a group of 10 of them that Michael's the lead guy, but then there's a lead guy on each thing that Michael doesn't have to tell them to go or spin or open. They know. Michael's kind of just the guy going and following up and making sure things are happening when they're supposed to.
Now, are all your props, right? I'm not asking you to reveal any of your secrets or anything, but are they literally just all from memorized like music cues that they're moving on? Like, is that how you guys do your prop open and closes?
A lot of it's time. You'll hear 3, 2, 1, and then you'll see 15 guys hit the timer on their phone, and it's 15 seconds this happens. And, but it's not musically known. I mean, Bill, you would know more than me. I don't think anybody really does anything on music.
No, you see somebody, especially this year. This year was laid out nice. You had a lead guy, like Mike, you're the lead guy on the float that I'm on. So my eyes were on you. And when it wasn't move, it was 3, 2, 1. So you were always prepared. We set up the wheels, everything it was very planned out this year, and it was like clockwork. It was probably the easiest year of marshalling that I've ever done.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty impressed with the props, like overall that whole process of
what we have
stars.
3 or 4 meetings. It was laid out on paper. I mean, when you got to the meeting, they handed you the paper and you looked at your prop.
Okay,
and it said 2 minutes and 52 seconds. This is spinning, and then this is going. So you knew you had kind of and going in that it might change a second here or a second there, but the way it was set up, where normally if you have a question, you got to go over to Chalie, and you basically got to wait your turn to ask him, because he's got 9,000 things going on, and you don't think what you want to know is that important. So it was nice this year that we went to Michael, that Michael passed it down to this guy. So if I had a small question, my group was Brian Smith. I went to Brian Smith. If he didn't know the answer, Brian went to Michael instead of 10 of us walking over. So this year it was set up nice, and it's because he's so hands-on. And I tell him all the time, I just said it today, he's got to back off. Take a minute or two, because you're going to burn yourself out too fast.
I think it's impressive, even more so because the Stars are one of the more traditionally larger built clubs.
Yeah.
And, a lot of it is still physical media, as well. You're not.
Yeah, I was hoping the one thing he learned by going to the string band thing was we don't have to show up with Mega City. We can tone it down.
No, you really don't. Yeah. And I think that a lot of brigades should make should make note of that, to be honest.
I think there was a lot of people down at the string band day for that reason.
Oh, I'm sure there was. Yeah, I'm sure there was.
I knew where he was going to be that day. He was going to be walking around looking at suits. I knew
Yeah,
it.
sure.
And when he told me what we were going to add, I knew it already because I seen him.
So I did think about that. When you're going, obviously some concepts are either on the table from previous years or just something new someone presents, but have you had influence directly from bands, or is it just something that you come up with and then you're like, oh, what they just did would work for us, and maybe that manipulates what you think?
Speaking this year specifically, Arabian was a concept, and with the amount of performers we have and the cost of costumes, it's starting to like get really off balance.
Yeah.
And I saw South Philly Suits live, and this is it. We would be foolish to let this pass us by. So we jumped on it. It's not something we typically do, but I think it was the right move.
I'm very grateful that you bought all those suits so I don't have to wear it in the summer.
You have to wear another one
I
of
can wear
ours.
the Frankenstein suit now in the summer. What was I going to say? I just had something in my... Oh, yeah. Staying on the train of, relationships with knowing where to trust other people in the show. We're talking about the props a little bit, but to swing to the front of the show, the choreography. Talk about your relationship a little bit with the choreographer. How much do you like to be involved in that process? I know you like to be involved in everything, but do you do any of that yourself? Do you just trust her to do it all?
I mean, Jacqueline, I don't really have much to say other than she's the easiest to work with ever. I've been around for Qualie, and I was around for Alex, and she gets it. She just totally understands. I'll send her a video, or Michael will send her a video, or I will send her formations of how I want things to look, and she'll put her twist on it. But this is what I'm looking for.
Right.
But moves and formation changes and all that's all on her. I that's the least hands-on that I'm involved in.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have say in your own choreography?
In mine?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Prancing around in my living room.
She kind of she'll tell me where she thinks I should be, and I do. I listen to her, and but yeah, it's hard. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for it.
When do you jump in at rehearsal? Because I know you're usually out front watching too, but do you jump in on Sundays at any point?
I try on Sundays, and then as it gets closer, I'll do Thursdays and Sundays.
Gotcha. Okay. Does the club know what you are going to be in the show? Is that secretive, or like, do you try to withhold your part as much? Because I know some clubs, like the captain's like a mysterious thing until New Year's Day, but I don't know how you guys.
That's another good question. 'Cause I don't really know. I mean, I don't withhold it, but I mean, nobody.
Are they ever gonna guess where you're gonna be, or is it a surprise to them? Where they clear like, okay, Charles gonna be here, we can expect this?
I mean, they can expect me to be there, but Polynesian year, I was there regular clothes, and then New Year's Day I'm there with this big giant hat and a back piece hanging 2 foot off my back. They weren't really expecting that.
Yeah, because I'll speak like, say, Quaker, right? You kind of know what Jimmy is going to be, and obviously he does rehearse on Sunday because the string band captain's a little bit different. Like, you have a drill director, so he's able to drill, but like, you have no idea what he's going to look like at all. Like, zero. You kind of maybe know what his character is going to be to a degree, but there's no, like, when you see the sketches, they show the band sketches, not the captain. So like, you don't know what his suit looks like. You don't know 100% what he's going to be like until we would go out in Furnace New Year's morning, rehearse, and then he comes out of the club and meets up with the band, and he's all like done up, and that's like the first moment you're like, all right, this is what we're working with now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't lay my captain sketch out, but I also, again, I don't really think anybody's ever like, oh, what are you going to be? You know,
Yeah.
like if they ask to see my captain sketch, I'll show you. I don't.
Yeah, see, that was different. That like that would not happen. Like that was like a secret.
Oh no.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
So we're not that secret.
Okay.
And I'm the opposite. He tries to show me, and I don't want to say it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Because South Philly wise, like Denny, he likes to practice with his suit if he can. So he'll even wear it at rehearsal.
Okay.
Like it's not a big. There's no like here he comes out New Year's morning.
Yeah.
He's dressed up and you're like, oh wow, looks awesome.
Yeah.
He's different.
Yeah, I mean, we're real secretive about when I pick my suit up and you know where it's going to go and all that kind of stuff. But no, I mean, if guys want to know what I'm going to be, that's
Yeah. And as far as performing, you know where he is. I mean,
Right,
I've
right,
been behind him, and I knew when I turned here, he was going to be there. And same thing with Michael. But with Mickey, you didn't have a clue. I mean, every drill, he was kneeling in a different spot. And it kind of got to you a little bit, but then you got used to it. But you know where he is. They know where he is at every point.
Gotcha. Do you get ready? Sorry. Do you get ready at the club with all the other guys, or do you do it at home, or how do you do yours?
on the second floor.
On the second
and then
floor?
the club goes outside, and then I
Gotcha.
come out.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say, taking it back to New Year's night, how did it feel to find out Mason got third? Because that's pretty good.
I loved it. I mean, you know, again, like I said earlier, it was all a blur to me. But like looking back at it now, it's something that, you know, as a shooting star, captain or not, I'm proud of. Right? We had a major issue happen less than 24 hours before showtime, and that guy went out and got third prize captain. You know, who cares what the club got?
Yeah.
But it was something that is going to go down in history for the Shooting Stars as, you know, something unbelievable.
Yeah, I think that was one of the, aside from who won, brigade wise, I think that was the biggest announcement everybody was waiting for. It was just to see specifically what prize he got.
Yeah.
I think everybody knew he could do a good job.
I was expecting higher. I'm not going to lie, and that is not a knock on Louis at all, because Louis' suit was phenomenal and his performance was phenomenal. But looking back on it, I don't know how he didn't win.
Yeah, I mean, after seeing it, I said first prize captain for sure. Yeah, I had him at first.
I think like being so impartial, just watching it, if you go back and watch the tape, I don't think you could ever guess that he wasn't supposed to be there that day.
1,000%.
Yeah, that's what I picked out about it too. Yeah.
It was flawless on his end. It was something that, you know, again, as much as Mason knew, I was scared to death that like those lights were going to hit him and he was going to freeze up because, you know, not because, you know, it's Mason, you know, but it's just you're in a different role and you weren't prepared to be in that role.
Yeah.
I have a question. I don't know if it came across between you guys in discussion at all, but do you think it helped him that he had a full mask on to kind of ease his nerves?
I don't know.
I feel like that would help me.
He does not have any problem performing. Full mask, no mask, whatever. He's just a natural.
Yeah.
It was more for me just like I didn't want him to get the thing of him being the guy and like him like freezing up. And that's what I kept saying, like just go out there and have fun, do your thing, and don't worry about what suit you're in.
Maybe it being so last minute was actually a little bit of a help. He didn't have time to worry about being the guy. He was the guy and it was over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think maybe like say, for example, if you would have went out of commission like a week before New Year's and
he
you
had time
weren't
to
going to
think
be able to
about
do it. We would have caught up to him.
Yeah.
But I think he was just still by
I
the
don't know,
time.
he's just such a performer. The only time I think I seen him being hesitant at all was at second wash. He didn't want to be out front. He wanted Chalie to be there, and we were kind of holding people back and saying, "No, just go."
Yeah.
And it's almost like he was afraid to overstep.
Yeah.
Where he was supposed to be. He did his job. His job was over. Now it's back to Chalie,
sure
but
it's
his job wasn't over.
I probably would have felt that way.
No,
too.
exactly.
Yeah. Like, you know, you're just to fill in. I filled in. I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, I don't blame him for that really.
But he wore the back piece and all down. He wore the whole thing down.
Yeah.
And he was.
And once he opened up, he had a good time. I
Oh, yeah,
stepped
he
over
did.
to the side, and you know, Uncle Brian was protecting me, wouldn't let me go anywhere, and
you were like porcelain coming
Yeah.
down Second Street.
But
There's so many people around you.
you know, and even the energy of the club all the way through, even after I found out what we got, it was more. I think they were happy that Mason went out there and killed
Yeah.
it and got third prize. They did not care what the club got.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was secondary what we got because we all wanted him to win.
Did he do his captain's thing at the serenade too?
Yeah.
He did. Okay,
Yeah.
because I was lined up. I didn't get to see you guys.
Yeah,
at the
he
serenade, but
he did.
that's cool. It's neat that it's like he got to have somebody like you be the captain that he had to fill in for, who is a modest person. It would have been really easy to say like, all right, you're done.
Yeah.
I'm good now. I'll do the serenade. Thanks for everything, but
Yeah.
you're out of the way.
No, I mean, listen, it didn't even really come up in conversation. It was more like you wore the suit. You were the captain. You're going to represent the club at Serenade too. I would have never put that suit on Serenade. I couldn't. I still was recovering, but it was more of him being the guy, and you're going to represent the club again. It's the way it's going.
Well, Bill, not a lot of people don't have that mindset, that attitude. You get
He's
people
just
with big
lucky I
heads
didn't
and-
fit in that suit.
Oh, get out of here!
No,
Ralph wouldn't have been able to take it out that much.
It's not enough. Not enough Dracula
listen,
shit laying around.
there's time and a place, and Mason lives and breathes Bill McIntyre Shooting Stars, and he knows his time's coming. And he got a little taste of it, and it's something that I think he now is going to strive to be, and over the next couple years, build on it and be ready when my time's up.
There you go. Well, before we finish up, we can at least say that you're lucky because you only have one appendix, so that can not happen again.
Yeah.
So we'll wrap you up in bubble wrap the week of New Year's and not let anything else happen.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
gonna come in the convention center with bubble wrap, a mask, a helmet.
Yep. Yeah.
The last thing I want to say real quick is what can we expect from the Stars coming up this year? What's going to set you apart from everybody else without giving too much of the secret away?
Oh man.
Putting them on the spot.
I just told Billy I'm on a little hiatus. I'm taking a little break. I'm between doing the club over and my surgery and the whole 9 yards. I'm like, I got to step back for a week or two. But no, we finally got everything from South Philly, and everything's up on mannequins, and we have a good concept. I think that be prepared for a traditional Shooting Stars. Music tells a story. I really don't want to give much away because it's something that there's a lot of good different things going to happen, and we're stepping outside of our comfort zone just a little bit, but we're going to still keep the traditional Stars feel.
Nice. And I think that's the wheelhouse, I think, for the Stars. Kind of, honestly, we make a lot of comparisons with the Stars to Quaker, right? But the traditional with a little bit of a twist, that kind of seems to work for you guys. So I'm very excited to see what you got coming.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. So you'll see Chalie back out there on the floor this year, unless Mason's rolling out the marbles to get you out of the way again.
He would never do that to me.
That's what you think. But Chalie, thanks for coming down finally. I know we've been trying to get you to come down for a little while, so I'm glad that it worked out. And again, same thing we said to Spanky. Stars get first prize this year. We got to have you back, and we'll have Mason with you next time.
All right, no problem.
All right,
I appreciate
sounds
it,
good.
guys. Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, that's another one. We'll see you on the next one. Probably, we're going to be down Billy Shore House sometime. He's got to get the construction done, and then we'll be down for a nice shore episode. So we don't know when that's going to be yet, but sometime in June we'll get another episode out for you guys, and back to our every other week, probably starting soon in September or August, whenever that is. So mom season kicks up, and we'll be back in. We'll be back in full mode. So thanks for tuning in again, and we will see you on the next one. Hosted by Billy Yoakum, Haley Heron, and Mike Jacobs. Produced by Haley Heron and Mike Jacobs. Producer Brian Donnelly. Thank you to Cheyenne McLean.